The young girl stood inside the bright and cold bank hall, her fingers shaking as she held an old, dusty card. It was thin, faded, and looked almost useless. People around her walked in and out, tapping on their phones, busy with their own lives. But for her, this moment felt like the world had stopped. Her heart beat loudly in her chest. She stepped toward the counter and handed the card to the bank officer. He looked at it with confusion, raising an eyebrow. "This card is very old," he said. "Are you sure you want to check it?" She nodded quietly. Her voice didn't come out. She had not slept properly for days. Her hair was messy, and her face looked tired, but her eyes held a strange mix of fear and hope. The card belonged to her grandpa, the only person who ever loved her. The officer put the card into the computer system. He typed slowly, then stopped. His eyes widened. He leaned forward, staring at the screen like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Please wait one moment," he said. His voice had changed, more serious, more careful. He rushed to the bank manager's office, holding the card like it was made of gold. The girl stood there alone, breathing fast. She looked down at her torn shoes and the small backpack she carried everywhere. Inside it were only a few clothes, and her grandpa's old metal box. She remembered the night everything went wrong. Her parents' angry voices echoed in her head. "Get out! We can't afford you anymore. You bring nothing but trouble," her father shouted. "You're a grown girl now. Go live on your own," her mother yelled, pointing at the door. Her brother watched with a smirk, enjoying the drama. She had begged them to let her stay for a few more weeks until she saved some money, but they didn't care. Her mother pushed her backpack into her arms. Her father opened the door wide. "Leave," he said coldly. And she walked out into the night, her eyes full of tears. She had nowhere to go. No money. No support. She only had one thing, the metal box her grandpa had left in the attic. She took it because it reminded her of him, not because she expected anything inside it. But inside that old box, hidden under a stack of letters, she found the bank card. It had her name engraved on the back. There was also a small note from her grandpa, written in his shaky handwriting. "For her future. Keep it safe." She didn't understand what it meant. She thought maybe it was just an old card with no money. But something in her heart told her to check it. And now she stood in the bank, waiting for the manager to return. After a few minutes, the manager came out of his office. His face was pale, almost shocked. He looked at her carefully, like he was looking at someone important. "Miss, could you please come with me to a private room?" he asked. People in the bank turned their heads, curious. She felt her stomach twist with fear. Inside the small room, the manager sat down opposite her. He took a deep breath. "This bank card, it belongs to an account under your name," he said slowly. She blinked, confused. "My name?" "Yes." "And the balance?" He paused again, as if unsure how to say it. "The balance is $1.2 billion. Her breath caught in her throat. Her hands went cold. She stared at him, unable to speak. $1.2 billion, she repeated softly. The manager nodded. "Yes. This is extremely unusual. The account has been inactive for many years, but perfectly protected. It seems your grandfather planned this very carefully." Her eyes filled with tears, not from fear this time, but from shock. Her whole life, she had been treated like she was nothing. She had walked into the bank as a homeless girl with a dusty card. She was walking out as a billionaire. But she didn't know yet that this was only the beginning. And her parents. They were about to regret everything they had ever done to her. Even after hearing the words, $1.2 billion, the girl could not stop thinking about her past. The shock was too big, and her mind returned to the life she lived before everything fell apart. She sat in the bank's private room, breathing slowly, trying to understand how her grandpa planned all this for her. But before the money, before the card, before the bank manager's shocked face, there was pain. There was loneliness. There was a home that never felt like a home. Her name was Lena. She had grown up in a small house with her parents and older brother, but she always felt like a stranger there. Her parents loved to show the world that they were a perfect family, but inside the house, nothing was perfect. Her brother, Ryan, was the favorite child, always praised, always supported, always forgiven. Lena, on the other hand, was treated like an unwanted guest. From a young age, She worked hard in school, hoping her parents would notice. She brought home good grades, did chores, and tried to make them proud. But every time she showed her report card, her parents looked bored. "That's normal," her mother would say. "Girls should study anyway. Nothing special." But when Ryan passed even a simple test, they celebrated like he won a national prize. They bought him gifts, took him out to dinner, told everyone how smart he was. Lena watched silently, learning that in her home, effort didn't matter, only favoritism did. Her father rarely spoke to her unless he was giving orders. Her mother only talked to her when she wanted chores done. And her brother made sure she never forgot her place. "You're only here because they didn't want two children with big age gaps," Ryan once said with a smirk. "Accidents happen." Those words stayed in her heart for years. The only person who showed her real love was her grandpa, her father's father. He lived a few streets away, and whenever she visited, the whole world felt different. He would give her tea, ask about her dreams, listen to her voice with full attention. He smiled at her like she mattered. "Lena," he once told her, "you have something special inside you. A quiet strength. People who don't see it will regret it one day." She never understood what he meant back then. She only knew that Grandpa believed in her. When she felt invisible, he saw her. When she felt weak, he held her hand. When she felt like nothing, he reminded her she was enough. Grandpa often talked about business, investments, and money. But he never bragged. He always spoke simply, gently, like he was preparing her for something important. Still, she had no idea how large his world really was. When her grandpa got sick, her parents acted annoyed. They didn't want to take care of him. "It's too much trouble," her mother said. So Lena spent every free moment at his house. She cleaned the rooms, made soup, sat beside him for hours. He would smile at her and say, "One day, you will understand everything." After he passed away, her parents barely cried. They didn't even want to keep his belongings. Her father said, "Take anything you want from that house, Lena. The rest will go in the trash." So she took only one thing, the metal box her grandpa always kept under his bed. She thought maybe it had old photos or letters. She didn't open it for a long time. She only kept it with her because it smelled like Grandpa's room, warm, old, and full of memories. But her parents continued to treat her like she didn't belong. Her father blamed her for small things. Her mother criticized everything she did. And her brother, he enjoyed making her feel small. When she turned 18, the situation got worse. Her parents wanted her to pay rent if she wanted to stay. She was still studying and working a small part-time job, but they didn't care. "You are an adult now," her mother said. "We don't need to take care of you forever." But they never asked Ryan to pay anything. He lived freely, spent money carelessly, and still received full support. Even when Lena tried to share her dreams, starting a small business, maybe learning marketing, her father laughed. "Business? You focus on getting a simple job. You're not meant for big things." Every word crushed her slowly. Still, she kept trying. She refused to give up hope. She saved pennies, studied at night, and dreamed quietly. But the final blow came on one terrible evening. Her parents stood in the living room, angry for no real reason. They said she wasn't contributing enough. They said she was a burden. They said she was ungrateful for living under their roof. They didn't listen when she tried to explain. They locked the conversation like a door that would not open. Her father lifted her backpack, stuffed her clothes inside, and shoved it into her arms. "Get out," he said coldly. "We don't need you here." Her mother nodded, arms crossed. "Leave now. Go survive on your own if you think you're so smart." Her brother watched with a smile that burned her heart. And Lena walked out with tears in her eyes, her backpack on her shoulder, and the metal box in her hand. She didn't know then that inside that box was the key to her future. And inside that card was $1 billion truth. The truth that would change everything. The day Lena was kicked out of her house was still fresh in her mind, like a wound that had not healed. Even while sitting in the bank's private room, hearing billion-dollar numbers, that memory played in her head again and again. It was a day she wished she could forget, but it was also the day that pushed her into the life she was meant to have. It started like any normal evening. Lena returned home after her part-time shift at a small cafe. Her legs hurt from standing all day, and her hands were dry from washing dishes. She entered the house quietly, hoping her parents would ignore her. But the moment she stepped inside, she heard raised voices from the living room. Her mother stood with her arms crossed, glaring at her. Her father sat on the sofa, looking annoyed. And her brother, Ryan, leaned back with a smirk on his face, as if he was watching a show. "You're late," her mother snapped. Lena held her breath. "I had extra work today." "Excuses again," her father cut in. "You think you can do whatever you want?" "I wasn't doing whatever I want," she said softly. "I was working." Her father stood up slowly. "Then where is your contribution to the house? Where is the money you keep earning?" Lena was confused. "I'm saving most of it, for school. And I buy some groceries." Her mother let out a sharp laugh. "Groceries? You bring home a packet of noodles and think you've helped this family." "That's all I can afford," Lena said quietly. Her father took a step toward her. His voice grew louder. "We are tired of you draining us. You take up space, you use the electricity, you eat our food." "I barely eat," Lena whispered. She really didn't. Many nights she slept hungry. "Oh, now you're playing victim?" Ryan said from the sofa, rolling his eyes. "Always pretending to be the sad little girl." Lena turned toward him. "I'm not pretending. You just make everything worse," her mother shouted. "Always quiet, always sad, always weak. We don't need that in this house." Lena felt tears building, but she forced them down. She was used to this. But what came next, she wasn't prepared for. Her father walked into her room, grabbed her backpack, and dumped everything from her shelf into it. Clothes, books, even her toothbrush. He zipped it up and threw it at her feet. "Take your things and leave," he said coldly. Lena felt her heart stop. "Leave? Where will I go?" "That's not my problem," her father said. "You're old enough to earn. You don't need us." Her mother nodded quickly. "We want peace in this house. You bring stress." "Stress?" Lena couldn't believe it. She spent her life trying not to cause trouble. She did chores, studied hard, worked part-time, stayed quiet. But nothing was enough. She looked at her brother, hoping maybe, just maybe, he would say something kind. But he smirked again. "You heard them. They don't want you here. Just go." Those words cut deeper than any knife. Her hands shook as she picked up her backpack. Her mother held the front door open, not even looking at her. "Goodbye," her mother said, but her voice had no warmth. It sounded more like she was throwing away trash. Lena stepped outside. She turned once, hoping her father would soften, or her mother would cry, or her brother would show some guilt. But they all looked bored, annoyed, ready to shut the door and forget she ever existed. Her father said the final words. "You are not welcome here again." The door closed in her face. Lena stood alone in the dark street, the cold wind touching her skin. The backpack felt heavy on her shoulders. Tears finally came, running down her cheeks. She didn't know where to go. She didn't have money for a hotel. Her phone battery was low. She had no friends she could trust, not ones who would take her in. She walked for hours, her legs weak. She found a quiet corner near a small supermarket and sat there, hugging her knees. The world felt huge and dangerous, and she felt small and forgotten. After a long while, she remembered the old metal box in her backpack, the only thing she took from her grandpa's house. She pulled it out and placed it next to her. The box was cold, old, and scratched. She touched it gently, feeling that familiar comfort. Inside the box were letters, small notes, and finally, a dusty bank card with her name on it. She had stared at that card for minutes, confused. Why would her grandpa leave her a card? Was there any money? Maybe a little? Maybe nothing? But the way the card was hidden, wrapped in a piece of newspaper, made her feel like it was important. Her grandpa never did anything without reason. And so, the next morning, with swollen eyes and an empty stomach, she walked to the nearest bank to just check. She expected maybe $20, maybe $100. But instead, she found a number that didn't even feel real. 1.2 billion. She had walked out of her home with nothing. But now, the same girl her parents threw away was on the edge of becoming someone they would never believe. Someone powerful. Someone wealthy. someone they should have treated better. And soon, they were going to realize that. After Lena was kicked out, the world felt cold and unfriendly. The streets were loud, the air was chilly, and every step she took felt heavier than the last. But the one thing that gave her even a little comfort was the old metal box in her backpack. It was the only piece of her past that didn't hurt her, because it came from her grandpa. She spent the night outside, sitting under a dim streetlight near a convenience store. The ground was cold, and the air smelled of dust and gasoline. People walked past her without looking, as if she didn't exist. She hugged her knees, feeling her heart beat too fast. Everything she had lost played over and over in her mind. Her house, her room, her safety, her hope. Hours passed. Her eyes burned from crying, and she was shaking from both fear and the cold wind. She opened her backpack to look for something warm to wear, and her fingers brushed against the metal box again. She stared at it for a long time. The box was old, gray, and scratched. Her grandpa used to keep it under his bed, and he never let anyone else touch it. Except her. She remembered sitting on his carpet while he cleaned it carefully, his hands gentle but protective. Some things, he once told her, are small on the outside but powerful on the inside. At the time, Lena thought he meant memories or love. She never guessed he meant something real, something hidden. She opened the box slowly, afraid the hinges might break. Inside was a neatly folded cloth. She lifted it, revealing several small papers, old letters from her grandpa, some receipts, and a couple of photographs of him when he was younger. She held the pictures close to her chest, missing him more than ever. Under everything, lying flat at the bottom, was a thin plastic card. A bank card. It was dusty and slightly bent, but her name was printed on the back in small letters. Lena Saeed. She blinked hard. Why would her grandpa put her name on it? She didn't remember receiving any bank card from him. The front of the card had a simple logo from a big private bank she had never used. She pulled out a small note that had been folded and tucked beside the card. The handwriting was crooked and weak. Her grandpa wrote it when he was very sick. For her future. Keep it safe. Use it when you need it most. Lena felt tears fill her eyes again. She didn't know if the card had value. Maybe it was an old savings account. Maybe it had a few $100s. Maybe nothing. But she needed to know. The next morning, with the box hidden deep in her backpack, she walked toward the nearest branch of the bank printed on the card. Her steps were slow, and her stomach was empty. She had no breakfast, no money to buy food, not even the strength to walk straight. But she pushed herself forward. The bank was a tall building with glass doors and bright lights. She felt out of place the moment she entered. People were dressed nicely, talking loudly, signing papers. She walked to the counter nervously and held out the old card. "Can you check the balance?" she asked softly. The bank officer looked confused, like he wanted to laugh at the old card. But he still accepted it and slid it into the machine. He typed something casually, then stopped. His eyes widened. His back straightened. He leaned closer to the monitor, staring. Lena couldn't understand his expression, but she knew something was very wrong, or very right. "Please wait here," he said suddenly. His voice was different now. Sharp. Careful. He didn't even look away from the screen as he stood and hurried to the office behind him. Lena stood alone, terrified. She looked around. People stared at her clothes, her messy hair, her tired face. She felt embarrassed, wishing she looked cleaner, wishing she didn't seem so broken. But inside, something was slowly waking up, a small spark of hope. After a few minutes, the bank manager came out. He was a serious-looking man in a suit, walking fast, his eyes scanning for someone. When he spotted Lena, he stopped. "You are Miss Lena Saeed?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Please come with me," he said. His voice was polite, too polite. Lena followed him into a private room. The door closed behind them, and the manager sat down, placing the card carefully on the table. He took a long breath. "This bank card," he began, "is linked to an account created many years ago by your grandfather." Lena blinked. "My grandpa?" "Yes. And the account has been protected with special security. It was marked as confidential. Only your fingerprint and your name could activate it." Lena felt the ground shift beneath her. The manager continued, "Miss, the balance in your account is extremely large. In fact, He stared at her, still trying to understand it himself. Your account holds $1.2 billion. Lena felt her breath leave her body. She stared at him, frozen. The manager leaned closer. Your grandfather was not an ordinary man. He was a silent investor in multiple companies for decades. And he made you the sole beneficiary. Her hands trembled. Her throat tightened. She couldn't speak. The manager smiled gently. Your life is about to change. And Lena realized something powerful. Her parents threw her away like she was nothing. But her grandpa left her something that made her more valuable than all of them combined. The same girl they pushed out of the house was now holding a future they could never imagine. Lena sat in the private room of the bank, trying to understand the words she had just heard. $1.2 billion. The number felt unreal, like something from a dream, or a story that happened to someone else, not her. Her hands rested on the table, trembling lightly. Her clothes were old, her hair messy, and her shoes were worn out. She looked like a girl who had nothing. Yet the manager was speaking to her like she was someone extremely important. The manager continued carefully. Your grandfather built this wealth over many years. He invested quietly but very wisely. He owned shares in companies you see everywhere: technology, manufacturing, even real estate. Lena stared at him, shocked. My grandpa was rich? Very rich, the manager said. But he kept his life simple. Maybe he trusted only you. Lena's heart tightened. She remembered his warm smile, his gentle voice, the way he always held her hand like she mattered. She never imagined he carried such a huge secret. The manager leaned forward with a respectful tone. We have to update your information, create new access cards, and set up your security profile. You will also need financial advisors, legal guidance, and a protection plan. Lena blinked. Protection plan? Yes, he said. People with this level of wealth often need safety protocols. It is normal. The words scared her a little. She had spent her life being invisible. No one noticed her, no one cared. But now suddenly, the world might care too much. The manager gently placed a folder in front of her. Inside this folder, you will find the confirmation documents. We will assign you a private advisor to help manage your funds. He paused before adding, and anything you want, anything, you can have now. Lena swallowed hard. Anything? It felt impossible. She didn't want luxury. She didn't want fancy cars or expensive jewelry. She only wanted a bed to sleep on, food to eat, a warm shower, and maybe, just maybe, a place where she felt safe. Is it really mine? She whispered, as if scared the answer would break her heart. Yes, the manager said firmly. Every dollar in that account belongs to you. No one else. Those words made her chest ache with emotion. Her parents never gave her anything except pain. But her grandpa left her everything. After the shock settled a little, the manager called in a woman named Mira, a financial advisor who looked calm, intelligent, and professional. She sat beside Lena and smiled warmly. Don't worry, Mira said softly. We will help you every step of the way. Today might feel overwhelming, but soon you will understand everything. Lena nodded slowly. It truly was overwhelming. 4 hours, they talked about procedures, security, documents, and accounts. They took her fingerprint, updated her identity, and created a new metal bank card for her, a modern one with top-level protection. Mira explained how she could access only a small portion daily until a secure long-term plan was made. That was fine for Lena. She didn't need billions right now. She only needed stability. After finishing, the manager asked gently, Do you have somewhere to stay tonight? Lena hesitated. Her eyes lowered. No. The manager exchanged a quick glance with Mira, understanding the situation. Mira stood up, picking her bag. I'll help you, she said. The bank has a partner hotel. We can book you a room there for a few days. Completely safe. Lena lifted her eyes, surprised. A hotel? Yes. You should rest. She didn't remember the last time someone offered her help without wanting something in return. They escorted her outside the bank. A private car was waiting, black, clean, with a polite driver who opened the door for her. Lena froze for a second, unsure if this was truly happening. Just yesterday, She slept on a cold street corner. Today, people were treating her like royalty. The ride to the hotel felt unreal. She watched the city pass by. The bright signs, the tall buildings, the busy streets. For the first time, she didn't feel like a ghost moving through the world. She felt like someone who had a place she didn't even know about until today. The hotel was tall and beautiful. The lobby had golden lights and soft music playing in the background. She followed Mira to the reception desk. A suite was booked under her name. A suite. Her name, written beautifully on the screen. Lena Sayed, VIP guest. She felt her heart tremble. A bellboy carried her small backpack and placed it gently on a luggage cart, even though it probably weighed less than his jacket. When they reached her room, the door opened to a beautiful space. Soft carpet, warm lights, a big bed with clean white sheets, a small kitchen, and even a balcony overlooking the city. Lena walked slowly inside, afraid to touch anything. She felt like she didn't belong here. You belong here, Mira said gently, reading her face. And this is just the beginning. When Mira left, Lena sat on the bed. The mattress felt soft like a cloud. She buried her face in her hands and cried, not from sadness, but from relief, from shock, from a pain that had lived inside her for too long. She cried for her grandpa. She cried for her old life. She cried for the girl her parents threw away. Because now, she was no longer that girl. She was someone new, someone with a future, someone with power. And soon, the people who broke her would see exactly who she had become. Lena woke up the next morning in the soft hotel bed, the sunlight slipping through the curtains. For a few seconds she stared at the ceiling, confused. Then she remembered. She was no longer a homeless, unwanted girl. She was a billionaire. But she didn't feel excited. Not yet. The number still felt too huge, like a giant shadow standing behind her. What she felt more than anything was calm. A quiet, strong calm she had never felt before. Her phone buzzed with a message from Mira. Good morning, Lena. Breakfast is ready downstairs. Then we will plan your next steps. Lena changed into clean clothes the hotel provided, simple jeans and a soft shirt. Even these felt like luxury after what she had been through. Downstairs, the breakfast table looked amazing. Fresh fruit, bread, eggs, warm tea. Lena ate slowly, still adjusting to being treated with respect. Mira joined her with a smile. Ready for the new part of your life? She asked. Lena nodded quietly. Lena learns the truth about her grandpa. After breakfast, Mira took her to the bank's private office again. They introduced her to a legal expert and a senior financial planner. Everyone spoke to her softly, politely, respectfully. For the first time in her life, adults were listening to her. Not shouting. Not blaming. Not comparing her to her brother. Just listening. The legal expert showed her documents about her grandfather's investments. Lena's eyes widened as she learned the truth. Her grandpa owned shares in 3 large companies. He rented out multiple properties. He had quietly doubled his money again and again. He placed everything under a trust, with Lena as the only heir. Her chest tightened with emotion. Her grandpa had believed in her future long before she even saw a future for herself. He wanted you to be safe, Mira said softly. He must have known something about your home situation. Lena lowered her head. He knew my parents didn't like me much, but I didn't know he planned all this. Sometimes, Mira replied, love prepares things long before we understand them. Lena builds her new life. Over the next few weeks, Lena stayed at the hotel while the bank set up everything she needed. A private security team. A new phone and number. A high-level digital account. A private apartment on hold for her. A personal assistant to help her manage things. But Lena didn't want to jump into luxury. She told Mira, please don't buy expensive cars or jewelry. I don't want that. Mira smiled. That's good. It means you're grounded. We'll start with basics. Lena moved into a modern but simple apartment. Clean, safe, quiet. She bought clothes that were comfortable, not fancy. She took a few business courses online. She learned how to handle money, how investments worked, how companies grew. She spent long nights studying, motivated by 2 things. Her grandpa's trust in her. Her parents' betrayal. She didn't want revenge by shouting or insulting. She wanted a different kind, a silent, powerful revenge. The kind where she rose so high that the people who hurt her would feel regret every waking moment. Lena starts her business. One day, while studying, she remembered something she had always wanted to do: create a small online business that helped young people learn skills. She shared the idea with Mira. "That's a brilliant idea," Mira said. "And you actually have the talent for it." Within a month, she hired a small team. She rented an office space. She designed a platform. She launched her service. Her business grew quickly. People liked her gentle personality and her honest approach. She wasn't loud or boastful. She worked quietly, just like her grandpa. News of a young businesswoman rising so fast started spreading. And soon, her parents heard about it. When her parents come back. One afternoon, a message arrived from the bank. "Your parents visited the branch asking about you." Lena froze. A second message came from hotel security. "Two people claiming to be your parents visited yesterday. They were looking for her." Then, 3 days later, an unexpected knock came at the door of her new office. Her assistant peeked in. "Lena, there are two people outside. They say they're your family." Lena's heart slowed. She already knew who it was. Her parents walked in slowly, their faces full of something she had never seen before: nervousness, fear, maybe shame, certainly regret. Her mother spoke first. "Lena, sweetheart, we heard you're doing well. We want to talk." Her father cleared his throat. "We want to reconnect. Family should stay together." Family. Only now they remembered that word. Lena looked at them quietly. Her voice calm, powerful, steady. "You want to reconnect," she repeated softly. "After throwing me out? After telling me I was nothing?" They exchanged guilty glances. Her mother forced a smile. "We were stressed. Things were difficult. But now you're successful," her father added quickly. "And we want to be part of your life." She could hear the truth behind their smiles. They didn't come for her. They came for her money. Lena leaned back in her chair, eyes cold but quiet. "My grandpa saw my value," she said. "You never did. And now you want me because of what I have, not who I am." Her mother opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her father lowered his eyes. Lena stood. "You didn't want me when I had nothing," she said. She stepped aside and pointed toward the door. "And now, I don't want you." Her parents stood frozen. Lena looked at her assistant. "Please show them out." Her voice didn't tremble. Her heart didn't break. She finally felt strong. Because revenge didn't need yelling. Revenge could be quiet. Revenge could be elegant. Revenge could be simply walking away, while the ones who hurt you realize exactly what they lost. Lena stood by the office window long after her parents left, watching the city lights flicker below. Cars moved like tiny sparks, people rushed along the sidewalks, and somewhere far away, she imagined her parents walking away in shock, their footsteps heavy with regret. For years, she had dreamed of them apologizing, caring, loving her. But now, she felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Nothing. Just peace. The kind of peace that grows inside a person who has survived everything and risen despite it all. The world learns about Lena. As weeks passed, Lena focused completely on her business. She expanded it quietly but confidently. She opened branches in 2 more cities. She hired more mentors. She created free learning programs for poor students. Her story attracted attention. News reporters wanted to interview her. Business magazines wanted her on their covers. She politely declined every request. She didn't want fame. She wanted impact. She wanted to make a difference, something her parents never allowed her to believe she could do. One day, Mira entered her office holding a tablet. "Look at this," she said softly. On the screen was a video trending online. The quiet billionaire who built herself from nothing. Comments flooded the page. "She's an inspiration. Such a calm and humble businesswoman. I wish I could be like her someday." Lena read quietly, her expression soft. She didn't crave praise. But knowing that young people admired her, that meant something. Her company grew even faster after that. And quietly, slowly, her life became everything her younger self once dreamed of. Her parents make one last attempt. One afternoon, while reviewing documents, her assistant walked in again, looking uneasy. "Lena, your parents are downstairs again." Lena sighed quietly. "Did they say why?" Her assistant swallowed. "They said they want to apologize sincerely this time." Lena nodded. "Let them come up." A few minutes later, her parents entered the office. But this time, something was different. Her mother's eyes were red, swollen. Her father's hands were shaking. They looked smaller somehow, like the world had finally shown them how cruel they had been. "Lena," her mother whispered, voice trembling. "Please, listen to us." Her father stepped forward, holding a letter. His voice cracked. "We know we failed you," he said. "We treated you unfairly. We favored your brother. We let you struggle alone. We pushed you out when you needed help the most." Her mother wiped her eyes. "We didn't know how wrong we were until we saw your life now, and realized you did it without us." For the first time, Lena saw something real on their faces. Shame. Not because she became rich, but because they understood they had lost a daughter long before that. Her father held out the letter. "It's our apology. Not for you to forgive us, maybe you never will, but for us to admit what we did." Lena didn't take the letter. She looked at them quietly. "I appreciate the apology," she said softly. "But understand something." They lifted their eyes, hopeful. "You didn't lose me because I became successful," she said. "You lost me the moment you chose your pride over your child." Her mother sobbed harder. "But I'm not angry anymore," Lena continued. "I'm not hurt. I've healed. I built a life where I matter, where people value me." She stepped aside and opened the office door again. "I don't want revenge anymore. I don't need it. My life now, that's enough." Her parents stared, confused. Lena smiled gently, a sad but peaceful smile. "I don't want you in my life. But I don't hate you. I simply don't need you." Her words were calm, but they hit harder than any scream. Her parents nodded slowly, understanding at last. Her father folded the letter and placed it on the table. Her mother whispered, "We're proud of you, even if we're no longer part of your story." They walked out quietly this time, no anger, no begging, just acceptance. The final door between them closed with a soft click. And that was Lena's real revenge, living a life so strong, so peaceful, so complete, that the people who once crushed her no longer had the power to affect her. Lena honors her grandpa. That evening, Lena visited her grandpa's old house. The garden was still the same, quiet, filled with the smell of mint and roses. She sat on the bench where he used to tell her stories. "I hope I made you proud," she whispered to the empty air. A gentle breeze touched her cheek, as if answering. She placed a small engraved plaque under the tree. "For Grandpa. You believed in me when no one else did. A new beginning." Months later, Lena's programs helped thousands of students. Her company became one of the top youth learning platforms in the region. She started giving scholarships in her grandpa's name. Sometimes she thought about her past, her old house, the night she was thrown out, the feeling of being unwanted. But now, those memories felt distant, like old shadows that no longer had weight. She built her own family among her team, her students, and the people who supported her journey. She wasn't just a billionaire. She wasn't just a successful businesswoman. She was free. Free from pain. Free from fear. Free from the people who failed her. Her life was her answer. Her success was her closure. Her peace was her revenge. And Lena walked forward, quietly, calmly, into a future she created with her own hands.